Chloe Swarbrick is a 25-year-old lawmaker in New Zealand, and she was heckled while giving a speech on the issue of climate change, on a specific climate change bill that they were debating here. So her response to being heckled is going viral. Take a look.
My generation and the generations after me do not have that luxury. In the year 2050, I will be 56 years old. Yet, right now, the average age of this 52nd Parliament is 49 years old. Okay, boomer. Current political institutions have proven themselves incompetent of thinking outside of a short political term. Change is so regularly sacrificed for power. Slogans are easy, but this action is hard. Climate action cannot be sacrificed anymore for political convenience. Climate change is a deeply inconvenient truth. And Mr. Speaker, if climate action is indeed our nuclear-free moment, it should be, and it must be, transformational.
So the okay boomer reaction has gone viral. Recently, this blew up recently. It's been around for a while, but it just really blew up recently. There was a guy who I think wrote an article. It may have just been a tweet, but I think he actually wrote an article. I don't know the guy's name. And he argued that saying okay boomer is that's the new N-word. Don't say that, dog. I mean, come on, man. What are you doing? Why are you being ridiculous? And, I'm sure all you guys know what OK Boomer is, but for those of you who don't, I'll try to explain it. It's become the reaction to, when the older generations, particularly the baby boomer generation, when they, smugly and condescendingly go after our generation and the younger generation. I'm a millennial, but when they come after millennials, when they come after Generation Z, okay boomer is our way of being we've already gone over this a million times as to why you're wrong and why you're ridiculous in coming after us, and we're tired of it, and we don't even have the energy anymore to give you reasons that you're not going to listen to anyway. So it's okay boomer, whatever, I got it, I know, yeah, I get it. Oh, younger generation, you guys are so lazy, back in my day, we used to walk 12 miles uphill both ways to school in the snow. And it's okay, boomer, I get it. So you think we're entitled, you think we're lazy. They blame us, ironically, for all the social and political problems in the country. And I know from my perspective, but definitely from the perspective of a lot of people in my generation as well, and the younger generation, it's you guys waged all these different wars. You got us in Iraq, you got us in Afghanistan. Okay? You guys crashed the economy. You deregulated massively, you cut taxes for the rich. You guys gutted unions. You guys got us to a position where wages are still stagnant from the 1980s and people are hurting. You guys, went to frickin' college for 14 cents and a Pop-Tart. Meanwhile, our generation has $1.4 trillion in student loan debt. So, the older generations made all these decisions that screwed us over, and then they turn around and blame us, and then act like lazy, entitled millennial generation, and it's just okay, boomer, I got you, next. We're so tired of your silliness and your nonsense that we've outgrown that. Now, here's the interesting conversation, though, and why I wanted to talk about this. There's the position of many people in the older generations who are how dare you? This is a slur now against us. What happened to what are you, younger people, snowflakes? Do you need a safe space? And then all of a sudden when they hear something they don't like, it's the N-word. Don't say it anymore. Do you need a safe space? Are you a snowflake? But I actually saw an interesting argument from a lefty who I respect. And he was well, it's bordering on ageism now to even say the boomer thing. And his argument was not flippant. His argument was hey, man, there are plenty of people in the older generation who don't think the stereotype of the boomer who's incredibly dismissive and condescending to the younger generations. There's plenty of people who are of that age who don't think that way. And again, the real divide is more about class than it is about age. And I mean, that's a fair point too, but I think the okay boomer thing, it's it's understandable because we're so sickened by, like, when you poll younger people, overwhelmingly, in my opinion, and I am a younger person, I'm biased, but it's like our opinions are really reasonable. Like, overwhelmingly, we're in favor of all the policy ideas that, in my view, would really fix this country and just create a better system. And we keep getting gaslit at every turn by the older generations and stymied by the older generations. And so we finally had enough. And especially in the context of this debate, climate change, and taking action to try to, save the planet, to run into resistance on that, either because the politicians are corrupt and doing the bidding of big oil, or because they're just genuinely ideologically brainwashed and really believe that climate change is a hoax or whatever. Whatever the reason is, the initial reaction, and it just kind of came out when she said it, she's like, okay, boomer, like, it's totally understandable. I think it's fair to use it as long as you're also clear. And I think we all get it. That sure, there are plenty of people who are in the baby boomer generation, in the silent generation, that's the older one, who they're good people and they mean well and they're for fixing the system too. It's just that unfortunately there's so many in the older generation who are not in favor of those things. And that's where it came from, and that's kind of why it blew up online. So anyway, either way, you can see why this moment went viral. It's a pretty cool moment. No, boomer is not like the N-word. And I don't know. I'm curious to see what the other left dialogue is on this. I think it was Bhaskar Sankara who wrote the article, who was like, I don't really like the okay boomer thing. But I'm curious what everybody else's opinion is on it. I'm kind of agnostic on it, but I definitely understand where it comes from because I feel like we've been gaslit for so long. And what else is there to say when we're crystal clear every time we want to explain to the older generation what direction we should take the country and why everything's so screwed up? They don't listen, and they chastise us and accuse us of being entitled little babies. And it's like, okay, then what do you want me to do? I already argued with you, so okay, boomer. Next, moving on. But anyway, it was a good clip. I like the viral clip here.